Hello, welcome to the Fox 411 and Kiss Country Neighborhood News. This is a thing we do from time to time with community service events that are going on around the area. And today, look at this. We got a lot of people here. We got a community here, basically. This is well, you can see their names, but it's who is in charge of Our Town, which is coming to the Brickstreet Theater. This is right in Forest City, right?
Yes, on Highway 69 South. Yep.
Okay. It's coming April 26th and 27th at 7 p.m., April 28th at 2 p.m., May 3rd and 4th at 7 p.m., and May 5th at 2 p.m. And we're going to talk to this wonderful cast here of characters. I can say that. Mm-hmm. They're all characters. That's right. That's right. But it's all brought to you by this Fox 411 and Kiss Country Neighborhood News. By CG Public Health, cghealth.com. And let's dive right in here. Christy, Joy, and Noah. Hello.
Hey there.
Hey. Hello.
I want to say, Noah, we've talked to you before.
It's been a minute, but yeah, I remember hanging with you and
Savannah. That's when we were doing some stuff, some video stuff, some hanging with Harry stuff. Yeah. I just realized that. I don't know. I just looked at your name and I said, hey, I know that guy.
No, it's pretty famous in the Mason City area.
Oh, tell us how.
He is a Mason City alumni and was in many shows over there in high school. And we've been fortunate enough for him to come over to Forest City and be some pretty wonderful characters in our shows.
Well, you have people from all over the place that actually come and for this production, I guess.
We do. Brickstreet likes to, we take pride in the fact that we are a regional theater and we bring people from, for this show, 6 area communities, Mason City, Clear Lake, Garner, Buffalo Center, Forest City, and Christy, who's with us, comes all the way from Albert Lea, where she's often seen on stage in Albert Lea Community Theater.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Wow. Going state line.
I know. It's another score. Right.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Joy, tell us about Our Town first. Let's find out what this production's all about.
Yes. Our Town by Thornton Wilder is a classic. I'm sure many people who are listening were taught Our Town in school. And if not, maybe it was on their suggested reading list. I don't think it's taught as much these days, but it's seen a resurgence. It was written in 1938. And it's a story in 3 acts about life in the little town of Grover's Corners, New Hampshire. And we follow 2 families in particular, the Gibbs and the Webbs, who are neighbors. And they each have 2 children, a boy and a girl. And one of the family's daughter, Emily, grows up as a childhood sweetheart of the neighbor, George. And they have some pretty charming conversations about, I've always been sweet on you. There's better language in the lines on that, but I don't want to do that right now. You need to come and watch it. But anyway, we get to watch them. It's really just Thornton Wilder did a beautiful thing and shining a spotlight on how beautiful ordinary lives are. So we watch them grow up, realize that they love each other, get married, and then life follows after that. So it just highlights the extraordinary fact that we're alive and there are beautiful things about every day in our life.
Was this like after the Depression or during the Depression?
Just after. Yeah.
Because that was early, right?
Yeah. And recently, if people are reading the New York Times bestseller, Tom Lake, that came out last year, its central focus is about a theater who's producing Our Town, and all the characters are in the production of Our Town. So that entire book centers around Our Town. So if they read that book last year and wondered about this play that they're reading in the book, they can come and see and actually see the play. So their book will make more sense to them. And we're just a bit ahead of the curve because Broadway announced they're having one more comeback of Our Town that will open this fall. And it's got some pretty outstanding actors in it. So,
yeah,
but we're doing ours first.
Outstanding actors and actresses like Christy and Noah here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Christy, what are you doing? You haven't said anything yet, so we got to.
So let me just introduce myself first. So I'm Christy White, and I'm an instructor at Waldorf University, and I'm the director of the Writing Center. And this morning I just taught a workout class in Albert Lee. I had to cover for somebody, so hopefully I don't look too sweaty. But um, but anyway, I play Mrs. Webb in our town, and how I'm trying to think of how I relate to her, because I always like to put myself into a character, but I think an important message in our town is that we just go about our day-to-day lives and we just keep acting like machines, doing the motions, going through the motions, but we never sit back and appreciate what we have. We don't do that until the things we've loved are actually gone. So how Mrs. Webb is more matter of fact, and she is not, she kind of reminds me of my mom. She pressures her children into eating, and she cares more about their growth than their minds and all of that. So I don't love that part of my character, but I see that in my mom. And so I'm trying to apply my mom somewhat into this. But one thing I do love about our town is that it doesn't just show the roses of life. There are moments interspersed where a character addresses the audience and talks to the audience, and then they give the audience some semblance of realism. Like, I don't know if marriages are worth it, or I don't know if what we're doing is the right thing to be doing, but I just love that it's not just a romance play. It applies to all of us and what we think in our heads but never really say out loud.
Yeah, I want to give Christy some flowers here because Thornton Wilder did allow actors to break the fourth wall several times in the show, and you have like the mind bubble thing happen. And Christy comes out and delivers a monologue during her daughter's wedding. There are like 4 monologues during the wedding. We get to know what people who are in the wedding are thinking. She makes me cry every night. Not kidding. She does a beautiful job with her monologue. So that, yes. And then Noah has a moment where he and Emily are on stage. He'll tell you who he is, but like, boy, watching their conversation where they self-reveal how they feel about each other, I just can't stop smiling the entire time. So I'm so excited to be able to see that several more times here coming up.
Does anybody stand up and say, you know, when the minister says, does anybody disapprove?
Well, the bride has a moment where she's not sure.
Yeah.
And she uses some pretty strong language, but that gets addressed.
Well, Noah, talk about your character then.
So I play George Gibbs, who is the romantic interest for Emily Webb, Christie's daughter in the show. And it's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't exactly frame it as a Romeo and Juliet because it's a little bit less Shakespearean than that. But it's still a really sweet story. George is he's a very lively kid, and he's got a lot that he's focused on in his life. But he realizes partway through the show that maybe he's not entirely focused on the right things. And there are a lot of people that help him get back on track and help him, you know, get on his feet to start moving in the right direction with things.
How old is the couple getting married in our town?
That's a good question.
Are they like 18 to 20?
Well, 17 and 18.
Yeah.
17 and 18.
Oh my.
Yeah, he wrote it in 1938, but it's about the turn of the century. So there's dialogue in there about the coming of automobiles. We have a milkman who delivers milk in milk bottles. And another thing, this is such a beautiful piece of live theater that people have an opportunity to see because you just don't see a show like this. Thornton Wilder used several techniques that are uncommon. One of them is there are no props. They're very, I'd say, limited. We have some stopwatches, some umbrellas, and some baseball gloves. There are no props. The actors pantomime their activities. So every time Christy's preparing breakfast, she's doing it with an imaginary stove and imaginary eggs and pans and things. And you get sucked in and you believe it. And we have an imaginary horse.
Right.
We get to hear him, but we never see him. I already talked about breaking the fourth wall. And then there's also meta theatrical techniques that Dickens used, where Dickens had people who went between time periods in life. You know, they revisited moments in their life, and that happens in the show too. So it was very, avant-garde for its time, and it translates so well today still. That's what makes it amazing. It's 85, 86 years old, and it still works. There's no set either. You get some tables and chairs and 2 trellises. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you got a background, don't you? I mean, you got a background or something, don't you, though? I mean,
we have a wall. We have walls, but not the houses don't have walls. So yes, we have a background that people emerge from for their entrances. But
yeah,
and a center aisle. But yeah.
Jay, of course, has an imaginary horse. He calls it a truck.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to have an iron horse.
Oh, there
you go.
You know what that is, right?
Yeah, they talk about the coming of automobiles in a not a very necessarily good way. Of course, everybody had a Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there, so I'm not familiar. I mean, I've heard of Our Town, obviously, but I don't even know when I saw it, if I did. But is it mixed with a little bit of comedy or just all drama?
Oh, there are moments you will laugh out loud. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I do. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Noah's involved in a beautiful scene where it's just bathed in humor, but it's family humor and like ordinary day, everyday life humor, like a dad picking on his soon to be son-in-law kind of thing. So, yeah.
No singing? No, just all acting, no singing?
Well, there's music.
There is. Okay.
Yes, there's, but it's not a musical, but there is music.
Right.
It's not a musical, but there's music.
You mean there's somebody playing a piano in the background or something, or what?
The sound effect with yes, and then there's times where our cast hums a tune. There's one song that keeps coming back in every act, and intentionally so. Blessed be the tie that binds. Thornton Wilder has appeared in every act of the show, and the cast themselves actually perform at one time. Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. You got 3 acts, and you're spanning 12 years, and these acts are daily life, love and marriage, and death and eternity. That's probably where the drama comes in at.
Yes.
But, you want to explain those? I mean, they're self-explanatory.
How about Christy do the daily life one?
Oh gosh. Okay, so the pantomiming is super hard for me because this is set in 1901, so kitchen appliances are way different than they are today. So
no microwaves.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to look up what a coffee grinder looks like in 1901 because I have to make coffee every morning, and then the stoves, or it's a wood fire stove, so I have to load it with wood every morning and light it with a match. And then there are ice boxes, and that was so hard.
He does remarkably. I've even gotten her to stop stepping through her table.
Oh, yes. Oh, man. So the daily life, well, it's just the mothers making breakfast, and then the fathers coming home or coming back from their jobs, and then getting the kids ready for school and yelling at them because they're being too slow. But that applies to today's life too, I guess. And then it's just a normal everyday life. And obviously you will see that we're not really stepping back. We're busy and we're not stepping back and appreciating each other like we should. But just getting up, getting breakfast ready, and sending the kids out the door, getting milk from the milkman, all the normal stuff of an everyday life. So that's Act 1 in a nutshell.
Okay.
And Noah could do Act 2 because Noah's very prominent in Act 2.
Yep.
So Act 2, love and marriage. I mean, it's just exactly that. It starts with another
marriage.
It starts kind of sort of in the same way that Act 1 does. It's a little bit of, you get a slice of life, and then partway through, there's a very important conversation between George and Emily, where they realize that a lot has changed in the last couple of years and a lot more has to change. And then they get up on the altar and get married. And there's a lot of, as Christy said a little bit ago about, wondering if marriage is right, and having all these questions. I think it's really cool how it throws all these questions out there. Like, do we really know what we're doing most of the time? Or are we just kind of all drifting and trying our best anyways? But it's a lot of fun. And I love this show for what it does.
So are you married, Noah, in real life?
No.
No.
I wish.
He's been married on stage multiple times, but
Yeah.
So it's old hat to him now.
it's just like this is your third stage wedding, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's had 3 stage brides.
Well,
I'm
you've
wondering
been stereotyped and typecasted for the rest of your life.
wondering if there's more, but I don't think there are.
Oh, you're young.
Yeah. Just so
Well,
it
you know
doesn't
what?
spin into real life.
Yeah. So for Act 3, I'll be very careful with Act 3 because I don't want to spoil anything. But
Right.
I will acknowledge, because if people know our town, this is not giving away anything. We have a cemetery scene where the actually deceased are in the cemetery and are cognizant of the living people and talk about the living people. The living people don't get to talk to the dead, but everybody in the cemetery is there for the entire Act 3 watching what's happening. So I forgot to say the last thing that Thornton Wilder did is he has a stage manager. The stage manager is like an omniscient character who narrates the show and kind of forecast and foreshadow some things. So if you're paying attention in Act 1, you hear who's going to be in the cemetery by Act 3. And what's fascinating is like you hear it, and then as you watch the show, you kind of forget it until Act 3 is here, and you're like, oh yeah, they said they were going to die, and there they are. They're sitting in the cemetery. Right. So it's just such a beautiful, that's why it's still around after so long. It's just a masterpiece. Some call it the greatest American play ever written, and I wouldn't argue with that at all.
I can see that. And, Jay, they have something kind of unique about this Our Town is they have a few characters that break the fourth wall. Mm-hmm. Now, this is actually when do they turn to the audience and they interact with the audience?
One of them does, yes. Okay. Yes. Yep. One interacts with the audience. They definitely talk to the audience, reveal what they're thinking and feeling, like an aside moment. But yes, there's Christy's husband, Mr. Webb, actually talks to people in the audience. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. With all this, you're talking about this person, that person, dead people, live people. How many cast members do you have for this thing?
22.
Really?
Yeah, and all ages.
All ages.
Our youngest are 12, and our oldest are, I think some of them have been retired more than a decade or maybe even 2. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. So how do you do all the casting? Do you put it out, or is it all members of the Brickstreet Theater? Right?
Yeah, great question. Our board picks the shows. We pick a year ahead of time, the 4, and then we know about what time we're going to advertise that we're having auditions, and we put it out there through social media or our email list, and people learn of auditions. And then as a director, you just pray the right people show up. You're just like, oh, I need for this show in particular, I need a really good Emily and a really good George. Our Emily is Annie Knipper from Clear Lake. She goes to Mason City Newman, and she's 17 and can do a beautiful job of being a schoolgirl, but then acting old enough to be somebody who's getting married, and then old enough yet to be, mom, a married mom. So and Noah does the same thing. Noah, as George, still has enough of him that's close to high school where it's very believable. And then, when he gets married, it's all very good. So that, and then we have some children who are 12 who, you're like, oh, let's hope, but they're young little professionals. And you send out the cast announcement, you have auditions, and you plop people in spots. I had the honor and pleasure of having enough people where I could have, a shell game, I could have put some in different parts, but I really like the way that it's cast. Even to the fact that like Christy and Annie, who plays her daughter, they even like look like they could be mother and daughter in real life. So it's like score. As a director, you're like,
Wow.
yes.
Well, you look for that as a director. Sure you do.
Yeah.
Harry, I'm guessing Joy's not going to be so desperate she's got to call one of us.
Oh, you don't know what I'm going to direct next. I don't know.
Well, you know what? We act every day.
Yeah.
We definitely react. We overreact. We act. We're good at acting.
Tell me what show you want to do. I'll ask them if they'll put it on the docket.
Well, I can't sing. Can't remember my lines.
It's going to be a play.
Yeah.
We could
Lot of
well, you know what we could do? We could do a play adaptation of the movie Private Parts, the Howard Stern show.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
We could do that one.
I'd be up for directing. I'm not sure if the board would be up for selecting.
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't need too many.
Yeah.
Wouldn't need too many. I was going to ask you, we're good friends at Tom Ballmer, Children's Stebbins Theater, and I wonder if some of your young actors and actresses, got groomed through there.
I did.
Yeah,
You
no,
did?
it
You
did.
did not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been through a few shows there. I was in Annie. I think that was all the way back in like 2015. I was Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast. I was Judah and Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Wow. Yeah.
Gosh, I feel like I'm forgetting a couple, but I went to classes there for several years, and that's kind of where I got my start in theater.
I told you he was famous.
I guess so. He's an old pro already.
We have a lot of people who are pro. That's why I really hope people come and see the show. It's a quality cast doing a show that you don't get to see very often, but is a classic. And there's nothing like live theater. We were talking about AI before this started, and you can't replace live theater. What happens in those moments and how the cast up there makes you feel, because you're close enough sometimes to feel like you could touch them. It's like, wow. It's worth the ticket.
Yeah. We'd like to say the same thing about radio. We don't want any computerized thing to take over our job either.
Yeah.
You can't duplicate this.
No way. All this personality. Oh my God. That's great. Well, I hope everybody does. Brickstreet Theater, by the way, is located on Highway 69 South in Forest City. And again, Our Town is being presented on April 26th through the 29th, May 3rd through the 5th. And also, Friday and Saturday night shows are 7 p.m., Sundays at 2 p.m. And if you're watching this, obviously you can see you go to brickstreettheater.org. Make sure you spell theater right, by the way. T-R-E.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, not E-R. Isn't that movies?
Yep.
Correct. Yep, correct.
Difference right there. So anyway, get your tickets, brickstreettheater.org. You can call the box office, 641-585-1800 as well, because there are people listening to this podcast as well. But thank you so much, Joy and Christy and Noah. And Jay, do you have anything else you'd like to
No.
remember? Okay, I
I
think
think you all covered it all.
it sounds like very good. Yeah. And Joy,
Thank you.
you're
I hope
very
we see
well
you
read.
two in the audience. Come on over. Let's see you.
It's weird to see Jay and I together anywhere. But,
Yeah.
we can definitely try.
I'll keep your fans at bay so you can enjoy the show.
That sounds good. Okay. Well, this is our Fox 411 and Kiss Country Neighborhood News, and it's all brought to you by the great folks at CG Public Health, cghealth.com.